Welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast. Here, we'd love to talk about the Walt Disney World Resort, the way we remember it, how it's changed, and why we still enjoy visiting the most magical place on Earth. So come with us on a podcast journey as we reflect on the WDW Reflections Podcast. Hey y'all, welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast, your unofficial guide through Disney World and all things Disney memories and their connections to the parks that we know and love today. I am Dewey, one of the hosts of the show, coming to you from Delaware, and this is episode number 63 of the WDW Reflections Podcast. We thank y'all for being here with us. Before we get into this week's episode and this main topic, we'd like to invite y'all to connect with us through the show's social media accounts. You can go out there and find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at WDW Reflections Podcast and on X at WDW Reflections. All right, with that out of the way, let's get started with the show. With me today are my podcast travel buddies. Coming to me from Tennessee, my good buddy Ron. How you doing, Ron?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's good to be here. It feels like forever since I've had the opportunity to join you guys and talk Disney, so I'm excited. I know this is going to be a fun topic that we're going to be going down. So, and just kind of a shout out to both of you guys. You both, Tony and Dewey, do all the behind the scenes work. I literally do nothing for the show itself. And not that I don't want to, it's just timing and skill. I really don't have. Anyway, I just shout out to these two guys that really work hard to bring you a good show.
Well, I always say that, Ron, you always say that, but so I jokingly, in response, say you're the talent.
Yeah, there you go.
Ron is the talent. Tony, you're the producer. Me, I don't know what I am. I know. We're good. We're glad to have you back because you were unable to join us for episode 62. So,
yes.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And then, coming to us from the Big Apple, my good buddy Tony G. What's up, Tony?
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm still trying to recover from this weekend's announcements at D23. I think they're still going on, actually. It was supposed to be a 3-hour thing, and it went on till 1 or something in the morning on Saturday, and there were still things going on yesterday. So it was a pretty busy weekend.
Yeah, that was way past my bedtime.
Yeah.
For the parks panel. It was way past my bedtime. But it was entertaining. And that is why we're here today. So this week,
I'm lost here. I didn't think did you guys figure out where to see the parks panel? I thought
we did.
I didn't realize you found it.
Yeah, there was some people streaming from inside the convention in the hall or whatever.
Nice.
So I guess I don't play Fortnite, and I wasn't going to go create an account in Fortnite to watch this thing or whatever. So there were some streamers that were in the hall that were letting.
Yeah, I'd like to thank those streamers as well. I think it was one of them was SoCal Tourist, and the other one was or something like that, something with SoCal in it. I'm sorry if I don't have the right name. And the other one was Ron on the Go. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't have known what was going on until we read the stories afterward.
Yep, absolutely. It was cool having those guys.
Normally
streaming.
Disney streams these things, but for some reason this year they decided to let the vloggers do it, and well, at least we got to see it somehow.
Yeah,
I feel like I was there. We were
weird.
watching live streams all weekend. I was just talking to my wife this morning about that. I said, doesn't it feel like we were just at D23 all weekend, and aren't you exhausted from the plane flight?
So, as you may have guessed, what we would like to talk about in this episode is D23. This week, we just couldn't resist putting a show together to talk about what can only be characterized as huge announcements that came out of D23 this past weekend, out on the West Coast, the left coast, and out there in California. Gone are the, quote unquote, blue sky announcements from D23s of the past. Josh D'Amaro actually made it a point to say, these things are not blue sky. Listen up. And he pointed this to the fans. He said, I want the fans to know that, to make this perfectly clear. This is not blue sky. Everything we're announcing today are in active development. And he even said, Earth is already moving. So these are things that are, as far as Josh Tomorrow's concerned, these things are happening. So that's what we want to talk about today, guys. And I don't really, I don't have I'm not going to tier these by anything. I'm just going to go down the list that I saw and talk about these things. The big one, I guess, so we're going to do it out of order. They saved the big one for the very last announcement of the night, but which probably has to be the most anticipated. And guys, do you guys remember we were talking about a Villains Land way back when we were on Mouse House on the forums and stuff? I mean, this has been
20 years ago. Yeah.
Easily 20 years ago. This has been something that, you know, knuckleheads like us have been talking about for 2 decades at least. And it was always, I think it was more of a fan thing than it was anything coming from Disney. I don't know that Disney ever even, you know, hinted towards it or anything like that up until the last couple of years. I really do think it was fan driven, but believe it or not, at D23 just a couple days ago, they released concept art and said that this thing is happening. This is going to be what they're calling phase 2 of the Beyond Big Thunder Mountain. So this is not going to be the first thing built, but I just had to talk about it first just because it is epic. There's going to be a Disney Villains Land in the Magic Kingdom. The concept art was, whether Josh Tomorrow admits it or not, it still looks blue sky. There's no real plans in this art. This is definitely just artwork that just shows like a scary castle and it's all gloomy and stuff. And I guess if you zoom in on it, you can see people walking, you know, teensy tiny little people walking around.
You might even see there's some trail of a coaster or something at the bottom too, if you look really closely.
You can see it looks like it's purple and green, so it has to be a Maleficent style or inspired coaster, you know. But this is obviously in the early phases of planning and is in what they're calling phase 2 of Beyond Thunder Mountain. So it's not going to be the first thing built. So we just want to touch on each of these just real quickly. Thoughts from you guys. What do you guys think about Villains Land coming to Magic Kingdom? Does it belong there? Is it good? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What are you thinking, Ron? Disney Villains Land.
Oh, I have mixed feelings about it. I mean, as I've gotten older, the villains kind of have a warmer place in my heart. I don't know if that's because I'm getting grumpy or what, but
that's
anyway,
weird.
I know, yeah. No, I think it's cool. I think that there's a fan base for the villains, and Disney does them well, and they don't get a lot of airtime at the parks. Maybe in a parade, maybe occasionally a meet and greet, but I think having a villains area is kind of a cool idea. I'm sure it'll be set off so that if some kids can get scared, maybe. And Disney's always been good about making sure it's kid friendly and things, so I'm sure they're going to make it so that if you do have a child that's really put out by it, that you don't have to walk through it. But no, I think it's kind of good. The roller coaster would be incredible. And I'm not creative by any stretch, but my creative juices start really flowing with a villain type coaster. So
Disney Parks says Villains Land is coming to Magic Kingdom with 2 major attractions, dining and shopping at Walt Disney World. So wow. That's at least what they're saying so far. Tony, like it, love it, hate it. What's up with Villains Land in the Magic Kingdom?
I think in the Magic Kingdom, it sounds like it should be a lot of fun. As you were mentioning, we've been talking about this kind of thing for many years. I think a lot of the fans who talked about that 20 years ago are much older now. And if you gauge some of the other announcements that they made, they seem to be trying to reach a broad spectrum of fans. So I think this is going to appeal to some of the older fans of Disney who've been waiting for this for a long time. I think a lot of the appearances of these characters might change because does this mean that now you can only see Cruella de Vil or Jafar in that section? Do you have to go there to see them? Will they still be roaming the Magic Kingdom portion that's not pertaining to the villains? Those kind of questions start popping up, and also what exactly are they going to put there, and where any of this is going to go is all the kind of questions that are in my head. But I think this kind of expansion is a good thing.
So this Beyond Thunder Mountain, and at least the concept art and stuff that I've seen online, there's supposed to be kind of walkways that are going to be accessible between, on one side back by Thunder Mountain, you're going to be able to walk by Thunder Mountain and get to it, and on the other side they're going to extend the walkway by the Haunted Mansion. So it kind of fits. You can kind of put this Villains Land as an extension of the spooky scary stuff that's going on over there at the Haunted Mansion. So it kind of thematically, is that how you say that word?
Yes.
Thematically. Mm-hmm. You can kind of piece that together, with Haunted Mansion, and then you walk past that spooky scary place, and then boom, you're in, Villains Land. So that I can kind of see that happening. The other side, and I don't know if this means they're going to eliminate the Rivers of America, if they're going to get rid of the
Tom Sawyer Island.
Right, Tom Sawyer Island might be up for grabs, or if that stays. And if you look at satellite footage or Google Earth or whatever, there's a whole big swatch of land behind Tom Sawyer Island and all that man-made water that is, right now just forested and could be cleared out. And so my guess is that it's just going to be behind Tom Sawyer Island, and you'll just walk on like a little bridge or something to get over that. On one side is Haunted Mansion and what's going to be Villains Land. The other side, which is kind of kooky, and they're redefining what the word frontier means in Frontierland. So no longer does frontier or Frontierland refer to, America's manifest destiny going west, in the 1800s. That's what Frontierland was. And that's where, Splash Mountain and Thunder Mountain fit into that, and Pecos Bill and the Shooting Arcade and all that stuff fit into that 1800s America. Josh D'Amaro was very adamant in the fact that Disney is redefining what the frontier means. No longer are they stuck in that 1800s. Now frontier means the search for adventure, and maybe that still means going west, but it doesn't necessarily mean going west in the 1800s. So as a part of this new Seeking Adventure in the West, what's also coming to Beyond Thunder Mountain is a new area inspired by Cars coming to Frontierland with 2 new attractions at Walt Disney World. That's what it says on Disney Parks. So Josh D'Amaro referred to the 2 attractions. One is going to be a similar to Radiator Springs Racers out in California, but it's not going to be a clone of that attraction. This one is going to be, he said, bring your off-road tires. So it's going to be some sort of 4-wheel drive, dune buggy, off-road adventure, style to the Radiator Springs Racers attraction, which is obviously using the same technology that Test Track uses. So not exactly like Radiator Springs, still going to be themed to the West, somehow chasing that adventure that is what the new frontier is. It's not just frontier land of the 1800s. Now that frontier is chasing adventure. So the two attractions, one's going to be the big e-ticket, I guess you could call it, and then the other one is for the little tykes. So it's going to be, my guess is going to be something similar but with little cars or something. So maybe like a Tomorrowland Speedway or something like that, so that little folks could drive. But that's the other thing coming to Beyond Big Thunder Mountain. So Tony, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think? Are you buying this new frontier? What the new definition of what the frontier is? What do you think?
I think it's okay. I think it'd be fun. It would be fun to see what's beyond those mountains, and having experienced the Cars Land ride, that's an all-engulfing thing where you are behind a frontier. You are behind a desert, really. But I think they're trying to incorporate the landscapes that they've got there, including Big Thunder Mountain and everything. It should be pretty scenic, and a fun experience to drive through.
Yeah, if you remember, the blue sky stuff they were talking about a couple of years ago for Beyond Thunder Mountain was a talk of Coco or Encanto or something like that. It was something like that, which was still...
I think it was Encanto.
I think so. But they obviously went a different direction, and they didn't even talk about cars. Maybe that was deliberate, or maybe they hadn't thought about that yet. But very interesting.
I think there's going to be a lot of interest.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think there's going to be a lot of interest. I can even gauge that based on the most popular video on our channel is the video of the Cars attraction. I mean, I think that even though we may not be that interested in that, little kids love cars, and so I think that's going to be a natural fit for that area.
But I think the excitement and the popularity of the Radiator Springs Racers out at Disneyland has, I don't know, reinvigorated the franchise.
Yeah.
So maybe you know, I guess I think it'll be fun. Am I buying the new definition of what the frontier is? I don't know. You know, I mean, Disney has proven to me, at least in the last few years, that they're holding on very tenuously to these themes, overarching themes, and you know, they've shown that at Epcot. They're like, well, let's just throw in some water stuff and call it Moana. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter. They're just throwing IP in there. So at this point, my hope is that it's just fun, you know, and I think it will be. I'm starting to let go of my grumpy old man wanting it to make sense and wanting Epcot to be what it was and Magic Kingdom should look like this. You got to let go of that, because Disney has clearly said and demonstrated that's not their thing anymore. Their thing is...
to your point, Dewey, I think that sitting here, when you said Cars is 20 years old, which obviously it is, but I don't think of it as 20 years old. I don't. And you've got Nemo, and you've got Cars, and you've got... Honestly, these are becoming the icons of Disney, that Cinderella, the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, that used to be the icons. And so they have no choice but to appeal to their fan base and have some of these characters in the parks. I'm with you. I don't like the renaming of the Frontier. I hope they don't go completely away and not have any of that, though. I think that's my age showing more than anything, that like the Hall of Presidents, I could see people wanting that to go. I hope they never let that go. I think that that's part of love I have for that area is you've got the Liberty, it's just that patriotic ness that we are very quickly losing in America. And so I hope they don't let it all go. I think Cars is going to be an incredible addition. I think it's going to be one of the favorite parts of the park when it comes out. And so, yeah, I think I like the addition. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be well received. I do hope they don't walk completely away from some of the historical frontier at land that we know.
So my wife always encourages me when I am less grumpy. She refers to my growth. So I'm trying to demonstrate that here. I'm trying to grow. I'm slowly letting go of, I gotta have the Disney I grew up with. I'm going to be upset and angry if I don't let go of that, because that is gone. That is gone. We need to focus on just enjoying what is there, honestly. And that's what I'm trying to do. And for me, here is the best part about what they're doing with Beyond Thunder Mountain. And this is something that I have harped on and yelled from the rafters many times in the last few years. Build new things, don't destroy old things to build new things.
Right.
And because, listen, I don't know when the last time you went to the Magic Kingdom. It's been a few years since I went to Magic Kingdom too, because that joint is a mob scene. You cannot walk in that place without stumbling over people and strollers, and it's like Times Square on New Year's Eve. You know what I mean? Like, that joint is packed. So Disney really, really needs to add new things to spread out the crowds. And now it's probably not going to be until, what is this, 2024? My guess is that this Villains Land and Beyond Big Thunder Mountain will probably not be finished until 2030 or 2032, something like that is my guess. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 years for phase 1 and another 3 or 4 years for phase 2. So we're still looking ahead, 5, 6, 8 years.
Yeah.
But Magic Kingdom, more than any other place in Walt Disney World, needs more things, because that place is a mob scene.
I agree with you on that, too.
So sure. I am applauding the fact that eventually, like say 2030 or whatever, eventually there's going to be a host of new eating places, a host of new shopping places, and eventually, if they hold true to what they announced, eventually there's going to be 4 new attractions beyond Thunder Mountain. And that, my friends, is a good thing for the Magic Kingdom. So that is what I am most excited about. Do I think of this as the new frontier? Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But it doesn't have to make sense. And I'm slowly letting go of that. I'm slowly letting go of Dewey has to have Epcot Mint's experimental prototype community of tomorrow, and if it's not, I'm mad. I gotta let go of that, because Disney is not holding on to that stuff anymore. And so,
well, I'm also glad that they're not going to necessarily clone the other ride. I kind of like it better where there's a ride that's based on the same subject matter in each of the different parks, but not exactly the same, because if it's going to be exactly the same, what's the purpose of going all the way out there to go see that?
Absolutely. So that's Beyond Thunder Mountain. So let's hop on over to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now, do you remember? I just want to say this real quick. Whatever happened to them changing the name? You remember, like a decade ago,
yeah.
They were like, we're not
Well,
in
it kept
GM
changing.
anymore.
Yeah, it kept changing.
It's going to be Disney's Hollywood Studios, but that's just a placeholder.
It was Disney Studios Florida for a bit too.
Right. I guess that's not happening.
Right.
Or I don't know what happened to that. I just think about that a lot. Like there was going to be a new name or something, and I don't know what happened there. But anyway, Disney's Hollywood Studios. What's coming there, you ask? Well, Disney is loving these new lands. They're building lands. So, and actually, I guess Epcot didn't get any. Well, Epcot got one announcement, but it was a small one. All the other parks, everything they're building is a new land. So, coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios, a Monsters Incorporated land, including the first ever suspended coaster in a Disney park. So, and I think we've talked about this before. I don't remember if it was on the show or if we've just talked about it just because we're, Disney nerds. But we've talked about how fun it would be to have a roller coaster or some kind of ride where you're going through and seeing the chamber with all the doors and stuff from the movies. And apparently that's what's coming. The Monsters, Inc. You're going to be able to walk through the streets of Monstropolis, and you're going to go into the Laugh Factory or the Laugh Floor, whatever, I guess, and ride a suspended roller coaster through the where our good buddies Mike and Sully work and are capturing human laughter. So that sounds interesting. Concept art shows a gigantic building, and they didn't talk about the location of this. I don't know where it's going to be in relation to other things in the park. Obviously, in the concept art, I was thinking maybe I can see Tower of Terror in the background or something like that to give me an idea of where it's going to go in the park. You don't see any of that, but you do see a gigantic building. Looks like it's probably 4 or 5 stories tall with the big monster logo and everything on it. But you're going to walk through Monstropolis, and you're going to be able to ride this this attraction inside where Mike and Sully work. What do you guys think? Are you excited for this? Does it make sense? My guess is it's going to be somewhere by Toy Story Land. I don't know. Just thematically, it would make sense over there. But I don't know if there's room over there. I don't know.
Looking at a mass. I'm currently looking at a map of the studios, and to me, it looks like the best place to put that would be the animation courtyard area. That leads right into Toy Story Land. You can keep that whole section of the park being Pixar related. A couple of people I've seen online have postulated whether they're going to replace Muppets or Star Tours, but I don't think that that's on the cards for either of those two very popular attractions. Although that the artwork kind of looks like it's on Grand Avenue. If you look, there's one of the pieces of artwork there that looks like one of the corners of the building there. But I would prefer this to go into the animation courtyard. There's nothing really going on there other than that Star Wars exhibit that's there that's hardly ever open, and I don't think that area is much traveled, really. That would be a good place for it.
That would definitely be a good place for it. That makes a lot of sense to put it there.
And that way you could actually see Tower of Terror in the background if that's the case. But I think also when I was leaving Disneyland last year, one thing that I noticed from the cab was that you could see the stand-ups from Galaxy's Edge. In other words, the backdrop that forms those mountains and the vista view. As you're driving on the highway, you actually see that they're just cardboard, or not cardboard, but you know what I mean. They look like cardboard stand-ups from behind. And if they put this in any other place of the park, if they put this right at the entrance, it's going to look kind of odd because you'll see that from the parking lot. So I would say inside the park, looking at this map, that building almost looks like the place where they have, I don't know what that's called, the Star Wars launch bay, that's what it is. That area, that looks like the best place for that, because that leads right into Toy Story Land on the side there.
So Ron, you sort of remind me of Sully, so you're probably excited about this, right?
I am excited about this one. I've often thought that this is the one that my daughter sent me, and I've often thought that a roller coaster made after the Door warehouse would be an exciting, fun ride. So yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I'm just a Munsters fan, Munsters Incorporated fan. So I think it'll be a fun place. There's a lot of things that I can think through that you could do with this. So exciting to me.
Again, they're appealing to a different era because this Monsters Inc. is also 20-something years old.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you think about it, many of them have kids. I mean, I think of my daughter. She has 2 kids that my granddaughter absolutely loves Nemo. It's her #1 show. And so now they're just, it's generational, and here we are.
Yep.
So I think that's the only thing they announced for the studios. How about jumping over to Animal Kingdom now? And we've known for a while that they were saying goodbye to Dinoland USA and saying goodbye to the dinosaur attraction. But, and I believe that we knew that there were going to be the Indiana Jones attraction there, and that there was going to be the Encanto attraction there. They, I guess, reiterated that. They did make it clear that the Indiana Jones attraction is not going to be a clone of the one we see in Disneyland, because as we know, it's the same ride vehicle, same track layout, all that kind of stuff. Dinosaur and the Indiana Jones attraction in Disneyland share those things. So it's good to know, Tony, kind of like you said about Radiator Springs Racers, not getting just a clone. It's nice that we're not going to get a clone of the Indiana Jones attraction as well. And so that's going to be cool. And then they reiterated or restated that this will be the first attraction for the movie Encanto that is also going to be there. But I think what is new information is that they named the land. Before, they were referring to it as Tropical Americas, and that is no longer what they're referring to it. I guess it's still going to be a Tropical Americas section, but its actual name is going to be Pueblo Esperanza. And that is the land that's going to replace Dinoland USA. It says that it will open in phases around 2027. So that's pretty cool. And also, we knew that they were going to replace It's Tough to Be a Bug there in the theater beneath the Tree of Life. That attraction, we already knew it was going to be Zootopia, but now we have a name for the attraction. Going to be called Zootopia Better Zoogather. And that's coming, it says, winter of 2025. So I guess that's about a year and a half from now. All 3 of those things coming in the next couple of years. I'm going to get the new Zootopia and the new replacement to Dinoland USA. So, fellas, what do you think about the announcements coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom?
I like the Zootopia. In Zootopia, I'm glad they're putting something in. Did they say if it's going to be very similar or not to Bug's Life?
Says nothing. Only thing it says is, will replace It's Tough to Be a Bug and is scheduled to open in the winter of 2025.
But winter of 2025 is that's less than a year.
Yeah. Well, not less. It's my guess is that means December, somewhere
Oh, okay. I'm thinking January, February.
Yeah, not
Because
meaning
winter doesn't hit down in Tennessee until about January and February, and it's over at the end of February, dude.
I think I know. I think they don't mean the winter of 24-25. I think they mean the winter of 25-26.
Got it.
So about a year and a half away. That's
fair enough.
That's
I
my
just was
thoughts.
thinking if it was and if that's the case, then hopefully it's not just a replacement and kind of a refurb of the same thing. Because if it was going to open this winter, it would probably just be a refurbishment and a new movie.
Very few details.
Yeah.
Very few details. What do you think, Tony?
Well, obviously the one that I'm excited for would be the new Indiana Jones adventure. I'm glad that they are thinking of making it a slightly different story. And they mentioned in the show that it was going to be Indy at a Mayan temple in search of a mythical creature of some sort. And it crossed my mind that being where it's located, and Indy is an archaeologist, perhaps he's looking for a dinosaur. That way they could keep that as well. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, but I'm more excited about that one than most of the other attractions. The Encanto house sounds interesting. With the they're incorporating the animals because one of the characters in it, whose name is Antonio, I believe, he loves animals and he conjures them up. So that'll be kind of fun to walk through the house and watch him do that. What was the third one? Now I'm blanking out.
Zootopia.
Zootopia. Okay, yeah. I think Zootopia demands more than just that it's tough to be a bug. I mean, and they actually have a sequel movie coming soon, so maybe that will infuse more in there. Who knows? But I think it's fun. It's fine. I don't think to this day I still haven't seen A Bug's Life.
Really?
Not the show. I mean the movie. I've never seen that.
Oh, really? It's a good movie. You should sit down and watch it.
It is good.
It's fun.
At the time, I think I was when it came out. I was more into Ants, its competitor.
Oh, so, and that's a good movie too. Yeah. But yeah,
but I never got to see the other one.
So that's the big stuff that they talked about. The only thing they said at Epcot, of course, they did talk about. They said they were going to give details about the reimagining of Test Track, but they really didn't say much. There wasn't really, at least that I caught. It was, and they had some people like singing, doing that was
the recap.
Kind of a recap, and it was these two guys singing, and it was hard to follow that a little bit. Yeah. But I didn't really catch much information about Test Track. It just said set to open in 2025. Okay, great. The only other thing they talked about from Epcot was the opening of a Spaceship Earth lounge. So, again, not many details. I think this is, for a long time, it was the lounge above the AT&T, whatever, that place where you can play on those video games when you come off of Spaceship Earth. Above that was the lounge meant for people that worked for AT&T, and then it was Siemens that sponsored that ride and all that. So it was the sponsors lounge, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it became a DVC lounge or something for a little bit. They haven't said, they didn't even say in the announcement, but my guess is that's what they're talking about. That area that was the sponsor lounge and was the DVC lounge. I think that's where this is going. There was one piece of artwork, and it shows, it just shows a bar and some people sitting at tables, and they're like doing, cheers with two cups or whatever. And you can see some fireworks off in the distance. The Spaceship Earth Lounge, I believe they referred to it as. So what do you guys think about that? What do you think, Tony? Are you a Spaceship Earth Lounge kind of guy? You going to check that out?
Probably to look at it. Other than that, I'm not really that much of a lounge person. But I'll take Epcot. I haven't been to Epcot in over a decade, so anything that they do in there, fine, whatever. I can't wait to see Epcot again.
Here's what it says. The lounge is inspired by the stories, shapes, and enduring legacy of the park's timeless icon. It features geometric shapes inspired by the sphere. It will have rich textures and warm metallic tones for a mysterious, elegant, and intimate vibe. It's a zen space for families to gather and enjoy refreshments. And here it does say this is the former place of the Siemens Lounge that was attached to Spaceship Earth. So that is the location. But interesting zen place for families to gather and enjoy refreshments. Ron, you going to enjoy some zen refreshments at the Spaceship Earth Lounge?
I mean, I'm like Tony. I'll go check it out once, but we don't lounge very much when we're in the park.
Yeah, the lounge is the Coke Station Zero. That's lounge for me.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's free.
Ice Station Cool.
Right, there you go.
Beverly. Drink Beverly.
My son loves Beverly. My son has a Beverly t-shirt that he wears whenever we go to Epcot.
That explains a lot.
So Spaceship Earth Lounge. Okay, cool. I guess I'll go have a $37 cocktail there one time and then, go about my life. So that's that. One thing that we didn't talk about when we talked about Magic Kingdom that I do want to touch on real quick, and this has been a long time coming, my friends. There's finally going to be a new nighttime parade coming to the Magic Kingdom. This thing is called Disney's Starlight. Do you guys watch The Boys on Amazon Prime? It's that superhero show. One of the superhero characters on there is named Starlight. So that when they said Disney Starlight, I was like, okay. I thought that was funny because that's one of the main characters. Her name is Starlight. But anyway, Disney Starlight, a new nighttime parade, and it says that it's coming in 2025. So, that means that that's probably pretty close. They're working on it. It says we'll use the latest cutting-edge technology to tell new stories. The parade is brought to life by the magic of the Blue Fairy from Pinocchio, and will feature characters from Peter Pan, Encanto, Frozen, and more. One piece of the concept art features the Blue Fairy, Peter and Wendy, and Elsa in her Frozen 2 outfit. So it's looks cool, looks Disney-like. I'm excited. It's been a long time coming since we lost. They killed Jiminy Cricket's nighttime parade. That one was my favorite.
It was good.
Yeah, that was super cool. You can still see the Main Street Electrical Parade. I think that's, I don't know, that travels around. I think it's back at Disneyland, but I'm not 100% sure. But a new nighttime parade, that's super cool. I'm excited to see that. I don't know why it's taken them so long, like a decade, to do this, but it's been a really long time coming. So, Ron, what do you think? Are you happy to see a new nighttime parade coming?
I hope that it's done as exceptional. I like the electric parade as well, but I look forward to. I think nobody does a parade like Disney. They just are, and they don't even have to throw candy to make you excited about it. So, no, it's that's going to be a good addition, and like you're saying, much needed and long awaited.
Tony, what you think? I'm
not really a
parade guy.
Well, it's interesting you said it that way. I'm not really a parade person. I usually just see them while I'm trying to run to the attractions while everybody's there. But at nighttime, I've actually enjoyed the electrical parade. That one I remember stopping to to specifically watch because I think it looks great. It's not as hot as it is during the day, so you can stand there and watch it, and you're pretty much done with everything by that point. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing something new at night.
Yeah, well, we haven't stood and watched a daytime parade. You know, what time is the 3 o'clock parade? We haven't stopped and watched one of those in a really long time, probably more than a decade, because my kids are grown up now. And they'd rather ride rides than stay for a parade. But we always made time to see the nighttime parade. Even as my
nighttime is a little bit more magical. There's the lighting and the way it looks is much more fun, I think. I don't know if I know you don't usually stay at the resorts, but have either of you had a chance to catch the water pageant parade?
I've seen that a few times. I remember seeing that when I was a kid. That one has been around a long time. But so that one does still exist. You're right, Tony. But inside Magic Kingdom, there hasn't been a nighttime parade in a really long time. So I think this is cool. I just chuckled when they announced the name, and because I do watch The Boys on Amazon Prime, and they said Starlight, and that just made me laugh. So that's cool. That's going to be fun. What do you guys? So I think that's it for the Disney World announcements. Did I miss anything, Tony?
Well, the thing is about this one, it's somewhat nebulous, no pun intended. But there was an announcement that in coexistence with the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Oh, you're right.
Dave Filoni is adding some additional footage that's going to be used at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge for the Millennium Falcon run, and in that thing there'll be a new movie in which Mando and Grogu will be involved. So, but we don't know. It sounded like that was more geared toward the Disneyland resort, but it could very well end up at both.
Oh, did you?
Well, I know whenever I see any kind of footage of the Disneyland resort, and having been there too, I noticed that it tends to empty out sort of at night. So I'm thinking that that's the area that really needs it there. But it's something that'll be in both parks, I'm sure. But if you notice, they usually put everything there first. They put the appearances of Mando and Grogu there, and different characters from the Mandalorian have appeared there. They tend to experiment. Those little droids, I don't know if you've ever seen those little BD droids that jump around on their own. That's all exclusively there. R2-D2 is exclusively there. They tend to try things out there more than they do in Florida. So I think it will probably open there first and then move over to Florida, or if they don't do it simultaneously.
So this is really funny. Or I don't know, maybe you'll think it's funny. I thought it was funny. So a friend of ours, Matt, who is a friend of the show, he is my buddy from the 501st. He has a podcast that is, he's a travel agent.
Yeah.
And so he has a travel agent podcast called Where Yin's Going. And it's not just a Disney podcast. He focuses on lots of different places that his travel podcast or his travel agency can help you, go to those places. And last week we recorded an episode. He asked me to be on his show. And so we recorded an episode about the 5th anniversary of Galaxy's Edge. And I mentioned in that if I were a Disney Imagineer, I would change Smuggler's Run to have different stories, kind of like Star Tours. So it's funny because we just recorded that on Friday, the day that D23 started. And then, lo and behold, a couple of days later, they announced that they're going to do exactly that. So both Matt and Justin that I participated in that podcast with texted me and said, Disney must have heard you, because they literally announced that after I had just mentioned it. So
we're planning on doing something similar to that here to celebrate that. I've been kind of putting the information together. But if you remember when Disney Galaxy's Edge was first announced, they kind of indicated that the land itself was going to expand and change as the years went on. They kind of dropped that, but they did indicate at the beginning that it was going to be something that was going to change. And so it would be good if they start to do that. One quick thing we've never talked about before. I mean, I know this is another West Coast thing, but I don't know if you've seen this footage. Because of the positioning of their Galaxy's Edge and their peak and their the way Batu is situated with the spire, many people used to notice when they walked through that you could see the Disneyland fireworks going off at 9 o'clock. And so what they have done now is they've incorporated that into part of your experience while you're there. If you're at Galaxy's Edge, they have a new droid that does a little show, and then the fireworks is part of that show. So you can hear the music that we talked about last week. You can hear the Galaxy's Edge music while the fireworks show is going on in Disneyland right behind it. So they found a way to incorporate both things into one.
And so I think that's it for Disney World. Do we want to talk about anything that they announced for Disneyland? There was a couple of cool things at Disneyland. Did we want to touch on that real quick?
I think the most important one would be the one that they are finally going to be adding somebody very important. Their quote unquote presence is going to be added to the park.
That is exactly what I was wanting to talk about. So it's really a pretty huge announcement. So Tony, you've been to Disneyland,
yes.
And I haven't. So why don't you lead that conversation?
Well, actually, what's interesting is when I was there, we couldn't wait to see Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. That's right as you enter the park. It's right sort of in the plaza area, and one of Walt Disney's signature attractions that he built, and he kind of based the entire park on the animatronics that he used in that ride, and that attraction, I should say. And it was down for a lot of the time that I was there, and then finally we got to see it, and it was spectacular. Just as you remember, I think I have a clip of it on our YouTube page. But interestingly enough, when you came out of it, when we went to go visit it last year, there was a whole section just outside of it dedicated to the history of Walt Disney. They had actual a replica of his office, sort of what you get at One Man's Dream, but a replica of the office, a replica of designs, props, ride vehicles, sort of a history of it. And so it was kind of interesting that they would put that there. And there was some speculation that they've been wanting to include a Walt Disney animatronic at the park for the longest time. And so on Saturday, it was announced that a Walt Disney animatronic is coming to Disneyland Park in place of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln in time for the park's 70th anniversary. And after the anniversary is over, they're going to go into a rotation where some days it'll be, or maybe at some showings it'll be Great Moments, and some showings will be this moment with Walt.
Two things. One, I'm picturing it being on a turntable, sort of like the scenes at Carousel of Progress.
Yeah.
One time you'll see Abe Lincoln, one time you'll see Walt Disney. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. That's just what popped into my head when they said that both would be available. And then second, how do you feel weird at all that there's going to be an animatronic of Walt Disney? Is that weird? Or
not to me, because I mean it's just as weird as him putting Abraham Lincoln in there. I mean, I think if anything, I think he probably, in my estimation, I would think somebody like him would leave instructions as to what to do.
I'll be honest. The minute you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't we already have that?
Yeah.
With him creating animatronics, and I think I'm shocked it's not going in both places, both Florida and Disneyland. I think that's what better honor for the guy that created the parks and had the foreknowledge to come up with everything that you did. But I'm a sentimental history type guy like that. I didn't even know that. I don't know a lot about Disneyland openly, and so I now want to go just to see the Abe Lincoln attraction. I didn't know that was out there.
You can catch some clips of it on our YouTube page,
actually,
if you want. But I think I'm not weirded out by this because it's probably about time. It's been almost 50 years since Walt's passing, and I think it would be seen as a tribute to him. In fact, when they just did that Disney 100 exhibition around the country, they had a holographic Walt appearing there.
Oh,
that was kind of creepier.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. And you're right. It shouldn't be weird because if you think about it, there's, you know,
Ellen DeGeneres
40 something presidents, you know, so they have animatronics of real people,
living people. Yeah.
And, you know, Abe Lincoln was a real person, and, you know, all the presidents are too. So, I don't know. I don't think it's weird. It just seemed kind of weird. Maybe because, like, he still has relatives. You know what I mean?
Living. Yeah.
I think it would be weird if I was, you know, Dewey Disney and I went to see my great uncle Walt's animatronic. You know,
have you ever been to a wax museum?
Oh yes.
That is weird. I'm telling you, those people look real.
Yeah, they do.
It's super. It weirded me out for a while.
So, I think it's going to induce a lot of tears. I do know that they did announce on the show that his family is in cooperation with them, and they even brought out his grandnephew to come out and talk briefly. So I think as long as they do that with respect and with care, it's not going to be as weird as it seems. It's kind of, I think, a great tribute to him, especially in the park that he created.
Yes, and I think that's why it's going to be. It's just a Disneyland thing, is because, you know, Walt Disney walked the streets of Disneyland. You know, so I don't know if it'll ever come to Disney World or not, because he, you know, I mean, he walked. See,
it would be creepy if they put him in the window of his old apartment waving. That's creepy. Yeah. But at least this is a show where you actually go sit down and watch him talk for a bit and say, you know, Disneyland is your land and that kind of thing.
I did like that you know, that they said that it's going to be a recreation of his working office. You know, the one that you saw on you know, Sunday nights when he would do the Wonderful World of Disney or whatever. So I think that's super cool that it's, you know, an animatronic of Walt Disney in his office. You know, maybe there'll be a poster of, you know, his original Epcot designs, or, you know, that kind of stuff. I think that would be really cool. So I think
it's going to be called Walt Disney: A Magical Life. Walt Disney: A Magical Life is what the title is.
I think that'll be fun.
And also, quickly, West Coast is getting their very first Coco ride. For those of you who are big fans of that, it's going to be something like the Pirates of the Caribbean, is what they were indicating. With it looks like a boat ride, really, with audio animatronics. And internationally, we're going to be seeing things like the new Lion King attraction over in Paris. If we ever get to Paris, that would be wonderful to see there. And
I've been to Disneyland Paris. It was in 2005, so it's been a really long time. But I have been there. That's cool.
And then the biggest announcement, I thought, which I'm looking forward to at some point, it has nothing to do with any of the specific parks, but they announced they're going to have 13 cruise ships. Not just one, not just 4, but 13.
They're adding 4 new ones by 2031, I believe the announcement was.
I'll never get to do a Disney cruise.
Start saving now.
Well, I would do them, but they're literally double what any other cruise is.
They are, but you know, based on my experiences, it was way better than any other cruise. I mean, we can't wait to go on one again once all of this nonsense in the world is over. I would love to go on another cruise, but it would definitely be another Disney cruise. I loved being on there, and I've been on other cruises. It's no comparison whatsoever. But 13 ships. You're going to put one in every corner of the world so that you can't get away from it.
That's awesome.
Check this out.
The prices have paid off.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, dude.
No problem. So as we're sitting here and recording this, I just got a notification from Disney Parks, the Disney Parks blog, for new details revealed about the largest expansion at Magic Kingdom. And it says that it is, I just mentioned this earlier, if it was going to be around the Rivers of America or if it was going to replace the Rivers of America. And in this new announcement, to make way for this completely new frontier, the rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island will be transformed into
There you go.
new and vast and rugged terrains for a rally race with some of the world's most iconic racers. So, there you go. That's the answer. It's going to replace Tom Sawyer Island. So now I wonder if they'll take what is it called, the Liberty Bell, or the ship, the boat, the riverboat. In the past, that has been out in the Seven Seas Lagoon. Maybe they'll send that back out there. But there you go. That area will no longer exist. Tom Sawyer's Island will be goodbye. All right, fellas. So that was a great conversation. A lot of fun stuff coming to really all of the parks. And the most exciting part is, like I said in the beginning, this is not blue sky stuff. Josh Tomorrow said everything that he talked about in that parks panel at D23, everything was in active development and supposedly going to be built. So that's the most exciting part about all of these things. But it wouldn't be one of our episodes if we didn't hop on over to what's your favorite. So each episode, one of our hosts brings with them a question to ask the other two guys. Those two hosts don't know the question ahead of recording and must answer the question on the spot. So I am going to ask this question, and I don't even know the answer to the question yet. So I'm going to take this one third. But I want to know, what is your favorite announcement from D23 this week? So what is your favorite thing that we just talked about from all of these announcements from D23 for the parks coming to a park near you? What is your favorite of all of these announcements? So Ron, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it is exciting. I mean, and several come to mind that I really want to pick, but I guess one has definitely floated to the top, and hearing the complete list really hasn't changed my mind. I'm really excited about the Monsters Inc. Area. It's specifically the roller coaster, because I think they could, if they really put a lot of development into that and make it as creative as Disney can, I think that could be an incredible ride and an incredible experience. So that's probably what I'm most excited about, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that does sound fun. Tony, how about you? What is your favorite announcement coming to Walt Disney World? Or I guess it could be any of the announcements. If you're most excited about the Lion King land coming to Disneyland Paris, that's fine too. What is your favorite announcement?
I don't think I'm getting to Paris anytime soon. And we were just at Disneyland, so I'm looking forward to seeing Disney World within the next couple of years. My most favorite announcement would have to be the Indiana Jones attraction. We've been waiting for that forever. I've been wanting to see that on our end, and the fact that it's going to be a new story sounds like it's even going to be more fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I know we're big Star Wars fans. We're big Indiana Jones fans. That's pretty exciting stuff. So I think for me, the most exciting part is the fact that all of them are going to be built. Like, it's no more blue sky stuff. I think that Disney got a lot of criticism for the last couple of D23s, was just like, we've got some great ideas and we drew a picture of it. Maybe it will do it, you know? It's exciting that this stuff is actually coming. But for me, I'm going to say my excitement, the biggest thing that I'm excited about is this Villains Land, because like I said in the beginning of the show, I know for a fact the three of us, along with some of our other, Disney Forum pals back in the day, we've talked about Disney Villains. At one point, it was even talked about, at least in the fan community, it was talked about being a fifth gate, and that there would be a park dedicated to the villains. And while that's not what this is, I think it's really exciting that there's going to be an entire land built to house the villains. Really, the only other place you see the villains is in Fantasmic over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So that's what I am most excited for, is the Disney Villains Land coming probably closer to the end of the decade. but every bit of that stuff was fun. And the only other, I want to talk about one last thing, the Disney Parks panel. Deadpool came out and kind of did some craziness there at the show. The funniest thing there was in the background, they were showing little hand drawings, look like a kid drew Deadpool. And one of them was Deadpool holding up a sign that said, "Fix the Yeti." And I just thought that was hilarious. And I commend Disney for being able to make fun of themselves a little bit, because that was hilarious. And we've all been talking about Disco Yeti and all that stuff for, a decade. And I thought that was really fun.
I just wanted to bring up really quickly before we go, this week marks the 3rd anniversary of the creation of our show. And it's been fun. I'm glad that we all reconnected. I'm glad that we have the opportunity when we have a chance to get together and talk about this kind of stuff. And it's been fun, and I hope it's going to be continue to be fun for the next couple of years.
Yeah, guys, this has been, I can't believe it's been 3 years, but it's been a lot of fun doing this with y'all we've been doing it for 20 years, but the show, we've been doing it for 3. So I appreciate you guys participating in this with me, and I hope the listeners love it, and I enjoy doing it with you guys. And I'm looking forward to continuing this show when I finally get to move to Florida, and I'll be able to provide videos and stuff like that to go along with it. So I'm looking forward to the future of our show, and I thank you guys for being a part of it with me.
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you guys do an awesome job of producing it and making sure that we're ever evolving. And that's been the fun part to watch. When I look at our logo that we start out with, which isn't shabby, but it just has been fun to watch how we've evolved, how our conversations have evolved. And I hope we continue to grow and become better at what we do. And yeah, dude, when you move, that's going to be an incredible time, because you may forget me and Tony and just go be a live streamer the whole time. But
a solo artist. Yeah, I'm going out solo. Like the Beatles broke up and Paul McCartney did his own thing.
Yeah. But seriously, I'm looking forward to when we can record one at one of the parks all together. That's going to be a lot of fun. So,
yep, can't wait. And that just about does it for this episode of the WDW Reflections Podcast. Please find and follow us on all of our social media accounts. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at WDW Reflections Podcast, and on X at WDW Reflections. This podcast can currently be found and played on many podcast platforms, and we'd love it if you'd give the show a follow wherever you listen. And if you love the show, please leave us feedback on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Those positive feedbacks help the show reach a larger audience and helps us grow. Make sure you check out the website at wdwreflectionspodcast.com. And don't forget, you can always message us from any of those social media accounts, or you can email us at wdwreflectionspodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And please keep coming back, because we truly appreciate you listening to the show. Thank you for reflecting on Walt Disney World memories with us on the WDW Reflections Podcast. See you real soon.